1. To start, this story isn't very interesting or dramatic. Where are you going? No, stick with us. Trust me, it gets better. I'm just pointing out the one instance that shows how petty entitled folks can be no matter what. There we go, told you it got better. It was a slow day at work. My job is basically cashier, greet customers, answer phones and questions, and of course checking out. Before our entitled Kevin so dramatically enters the scene, the phone rings. I don't have a line of customers at my register, and everyone shopping in the store is still shopping, so I answer the phone. Most phone calls are easy, but others are chatterboxes, and most of our clientele are on the older side, so they aren't speedy chatterboxes either. This was one of those older chatterbox types, and I was answering her questions and listening to her go on about something or another that had nothing to do with the reason for her call. A wild Kevin appears. Kevin is carrying maybe between 8 and 10 $1 paintbrushes, and a few cheap baubles. He just stands there, quite a distance away from the registers, and I gesture to him which register I'm on. "No, I have a question." He projects from where he's standing. I gesture for him to come over and ask. You know, all friendly like your buddies flagging you over for a game of Red Rover or something. He just stands there. All this while the lady on the phone is seemingly wrapping up her conversation and about to hang up. Kevin tells me, at first I thought jokingly, but he sounded more serious than joking, to put her on hold. As he wasn't here before I answered the call, I stuck with my practice of first come, first served. And I'm a multitask like a mother. So again, I gestured him over to my register. Mind you, him, me, and everyone else, there is a giant pole blocking me at the register, making me hard to see. But I make big arm flails pointing to where I'm at every time I see a customer ready to check out. Think of a carny trying to get you to play their game, like that. He waited for maybe a minute and a half. The time for the phone call counted the seconds for me, before he dumped what he was carrying into a bucket in front of my register and walked out in a huff. Not 2 seconds after he huffed and puffed away, surprised the call ended. So I went to pick up his things, being oblivious, thinking he'd left to get his wallet from his car or something, and put them to the side on hold in case he came back. After 10 minutes of him not coming back, I figured he was just going to be one of those can't please everyone kind of folks, and put his cheap baubles back where they belong. Yeah, nothing super crazy or dramatic. I told my manager about it, and he agreed the dude was being a child about the whole thing. My manager has seen me answer calls and check people out at the same time before, whether it's slow or I am the only cashier on duty, and I got a jam-packed line. My manager trusts that I know what I'm doing, otherwise he wouldn't have me working there in the first place. I know our priorities are customers first, the physical ones, then those on the phone. But this event just happened to be one of those unusual ones, you know? And it's not at all unusual for folks to just come up and start putting their items on the wrong checkout counter, or while you're working on another project, with another customer, or on the phone. Most folks are very understanding. I've had people praise me for handling difficult phone calls and people, all while helping check them out at the same time, and all with a smile on my face and a suspiciously peppy and upbeat attitude for someone in customer service. Anyways, I was checking the reviews for my job one night out of curiosity, and I saw this review from our dear sweet Kevin. Too polite to move from where he was standing, 15 feet away from the registers to check out, but not polite enough to yell, "Just hang up on them!" Or leave a 1-star review that said, and I quoteth, "Spent 5 minutes with items in hand at the checkout while the cashier was on the phone checking inventory for an item in other stores. I asked the cashier to ask the person on the phone to hold. She ignored me and proceeded to explain various store policies about buying on the phone, etc. After a few more minutes, I just gave up and left. Apparently the cashier hasn't been trained properly to give priority to in-person customers with items and money in hand." Now, I don't know about you, but it sounds like he spent 5 minutes with his voice-to-text in his car after that all happened. Now, if he had waited those extra few spare minutes, he could have gotten one of our store's lovely plastic shopping bags, with the number for corporate, on the bag. Could have called and complained to them, instead of leaving a scathing 1-star review on the internet, where I, an equally petty and less outspoken person, can so eloquently copy and paste it, send it to all my fellow customer service members across the rest of the internet in Reddit format, and let everyone know. No matter how well you were trained at work, brought up at home, taught in school, no matter how hard you try in life to do and be good, there will always be someone unsatisfied with your efforts. Just know, you can't please them all. Do your best, be happy, and move on. But if they post about it, then so can you. Also, I just want to take a moment and thank all the service workers out there who have to put up with the entitled BS every day and night, for Lord knows how long. Everyone out there having a rough time right now, thinking that nothing you do matters or that no one cares, you're wrong. I was wrong in thinking that too, because people do care about you and what you do. Kevin cared so much about me. He had to tell the whole world, or at least those of them who care to read the reviews anyways, about it. Don't doubt yourself. Keep up the amazing job you're doing at being a good and awesome human. And maybe you too, like me, can have your very own scathing 1-star review from a Kevin or Karen one day. Stay happy, healthy, hydrated, and sane out there, folks. 2. I'm sure many people have received wrong calls and texts from unknown people. I have myself, but this person refused to believe that I wasn't the person he was trying to text, and went on a rant for a couple of minutes, before finally coming to the realization that yeah, he was getting mad at a random stranger. I had just gotten home from spending all day at college, handing homework and studying, when my phone goes off and I see a very angry text from this person who'll be our Kevin for this story. Here's what I can remember since this happened several years ago.
Hey, tell your brother to stop giving out my number. I don't give out so-and-so anymore. Your brother keeps giving my number and I don't want to deal with it anymore.
Sorry, but I think you've got the wrong number.
Stop BSing around. You know what I'm talking about. Tell your brother to stop, or I'm gonna kick his ass next time I see him.
Note, my brother Kirito doesn't go out anywhere, unless it's with me to go shopping, for lunch, or to take our dog for a walk. Other than that, he spends most of his time gaming with his online friends, but he doesn't get free items or do giveaways. I know, 'cause I'm the one paying for his current online game, so he can play for any new expansion. I'm really sorry about whatever is happening between you and this guy, but you've got the wrong number, and I'm positive that my brother isn't the person who's giving out your number.
Of course it's your brother. You can't lie to me. I've known your brother since middle school, and if he doesn't stop, I'm going to beat his ass next time I see him.
Okay, if you know my brother so well, what's his name?
His name is Michael, and he better stop handing out my number.
That's not my brother's name.
What the heck are you talking about, Kyle? Stop effing about, dude.
I'm also not Kyle. Again, wrong number. Kevin stops messaging me for a good 5 minutes, most likely, finally stopping to read the random phone number he'd been texting for about 20 minutes now.
Never mind. Just block this number and don't text me back.
I'm thinking to myself, I wasn't planning on responding anymore. Block, and that was the last time I heard from him. So from what I'm assuming, this Kevin, Kyle, and Michael might have been business partners or giving out items, but once they ran out of the item, Kyle and Michael didn't believe they were out or were pulling a prank on Kevin to get a reaction out of him. Instead, it just pissed him off, and it ended with him taking his anger out on me, a random stranger he happened to accidentally text and snapped at for about half an hour before realizing he made a mistake. 3. Short backstory. I'm good with computers and other tech. It's a mixture of entitled and I don't work here, but I don't work here was a funny misunderstanding that led to Kevin the entitled. So this happened in 2019 before stores were closing for sickness reasons. And I believe it was September, could be wrong, but around there. So in my area there are 3 computer stores, and the one I went to was in Restry. AMD and Nvidia had just released some new products, so I wanted to get one. They were out, of course, but then I feel a tap on my shoulder. It was a woman no older than me, between 28 and 35. She asked if I knew much about computers. I told her yes, I do. It didn't occur to me she thought I worked there, as I wasn't wearing the uniform. She gave me a piece of paper that was a parts list and said it was for a gaming computer her brother was going to build for her son. And what a list of parts it was horrible. Asus 970 and Ryzen 7 2700 incompatible, and every part did not make sense like this. He was apparently going to charge her $2,500 for a $900 computer on the high end. I explained to her my concerns and pulled up references, so she did not think I was pulling one over on her. Again, she didn't know I was a customer too at the time. So I went into work mode and started my questions. And unlike the Karen in my previous story, she knew what her kid wanted. Made things easy, so with the parts they had available, I gave her the list back with my edits to it, which was about $1,500, including a Windows key, roughly at the time. I told her if she takes it to the guy at the desk, he would help her. She said, "Oh, I thought you might have the keys." Ding. I realized then she thought I worked there. I explained to her I did not. She laughed about it and then asked me if I'd be willing to build it, since it seemed like her brother was trying to rip her off. I told her sure. She said she was willing to pay me what she was going to pay her brother. I told her no. I do this as a business and don't charge over $100 per build. So she would end up saving around what the PC would have cost. Well, right at that time Kevin appeared, hearing the last part. He got in my face. And I mean a few inches, before he was going to kiss my cheek close. And started to tell me I'm not allowed to steal customers. Now, I have worked in retail and convenience store at the manager level. I know the rules on stealing sales from a location. I was not doing that intentionally, as she asked me, and not the other way around. She tried to explain to him on my behalf what happened. He didn't care and said that I need to leave and he'd be happy to help her. Now, Best Buy doesn't work on commission, so it wasn't that, but just a very jerk move when I wasn't there to poach customers. She told him no and get the manager. This wasn't a Karen get the manager, oh no. This was, hey Dick, get the manager. The manager was called and she let loose her grievances. I stayed back because if I butted in it could have made things look worse since it looked like I broke the rules. Well, the manager was on the employee's side, of course. He went as far as to ban me from the store. Yes, I was banned for something I didn't do, as it was asked of me, not asking her. She was mad now and told the manager she wouldn't be back anymore and will tell people how they really treat their customers. Mind you, I've had many random people who just fall in my lap with PC questions. I don't do this door-to-door salesman thing looking for people. I have them go to my online site, but that's usually it besides phone calls. I even told the manager that I have a business that uses his store to buy parts, if the Rainforest site is out of stock. Well, he didn't care, because in his eyes I was trying to steal a customer. Well, Kevin looked smug like he won, but won what? Why the smirk face? You just lost 2 customers that were about to spend $3,000+. They didn't have the parts I wanted, but I needed others anyway, combined that day. Well, when we left, I did indeed build the computer for her, but I gave her a Corsair keyboard, K55 if you wanted to know the model, and an RGB mousepad since the kid didn't have anything but an old keyboard. And I mean old. I set down the tower on the desk and even did some wire management for tripping safety. The kid was in school, and she wanted to do a surprise video of him walking in to see it. All is well in the end, I guess. I still don't go to that store, but she ended up paying me $300 for the build. I did try to refuse, but she wanted me to have it as an apology for the store incident. Their family has kept in contact since, because her husband is a huge anime nerd like me. Of course, her brother was mad, but that's a different story. 4. So I'm a 22-year-old female, and work at a company selling for the last 8 months. And I love it. I love my team, my manager, and how easy and fun it is to meet new people. But there is this one coworker, a 21-year-old male, who I really can't stand to be with for long. He's super nice and fun and interesting to talk to, but I have a problem with how immature he can be, and how stressful it is to be around him. See, I'm a calm person. I admit I talk a lot, but I usually can take a hint and do my job efficiently. But we work in a mall with 2 or 3 people at a time, and so much noise, and he keeps messing around with his keys. For the last 8 months, for at least 30 hours a week, he walks around me and I just can't go anywhere else. Literally, because we're in a kiosk and he goes out and walks around it, playing with his keys, and it's driving me crazy. There's so many keys that even the mall sound can't cancel the noise out. To be fair, he does put them away when asked for about 10 minutes before taking them out again and keeping at it. I know it's ridiculous, but the whole team can't take it anymore, especially as me and my other co-worker are the only ones living it almost every day at work. I've brought it up a lot to my manager and co-workers too, and even threatened to lock the keys up if he keeps at it. My manager even bought him a stress ball to help. And I do sometimes get frustrated even more, because we are allowed on our phones if there's no clients. I don't know what to do anymore, and I'm about to lose it if he keeps going. He doesn't really see it as a problem, and gets mad after the 4th time a day I tell him, and he sulks after my manager keeps telling him, but it's really not doing anything. I know he's able to stop walking around us and playing with those insufferable keys, because when his girlfriend is there to visit for 1 or 2 hours, he's calm, sitting, and it makes me wonder if he just doesn't care about how we feel about the situation, and thinks we should endure it. P.S. He has ADHD, but refuses to take his medication, and says that he refuses to take the little leash off the keys to stop, because if he does it, it's fun doing it, which for me is the whole point. He doesn't see it as a problem and uses a lot of his ADHD to gather pity and get away with a lot of things. 5. So Andy. Andy was a creature, to put it nicely. The most frustrating thing about him was he was so damn nice. Oh God, was that boy dumb. Here's a few stories off the top of my head from myself and other co-workers. I worked with Andy by myself on Monday's wing night for a while. This guy would sauce up wings with his bare hands. Not a huge deal as long as he had clean hands, then would lick the sauce off his hands, to which I would remind him to wash them afterwards before touching another order of wings. Again with his bare hands. I'm a bit germophobic. He told me,
"Oh, thanks for reminding me, because I would forgotten."
He messed up pretty much every order he got, to the point where I would be having to grit my teeth to continue being polite and say, "Oh, it's okay, it happens," as not to hurt his feelings. On Taco Tuesday, he would not add sweet chili to our bang bag sauce, as is in our recipe, and when my co-workers Alexis and Quinn asked him about it, he told them,
"Oh, I don't like sweet chili sauce."
Quinn had to explain to him that it didn't matter whether he liked it or not, the recipe called for it. Andy told my other co-worker Kayla that it was okay to eat slightly raw chicken. I'm still baffled as to how he thought that was okay. He would also touch raw chicken, wipe his hands on a rag, then continue on his merry way to touch other things with his raw chicken hands, and would use the raw chicken rag to wipe things off. My co-worker Lucas wants to learn to be a cook and was helping Steve and Quinn back on the line one night. Andy was back there, and he somehow managed to annoy Lucas, who doesn't even work on the line and, for the most part, is still learning about the things going on back there. Steve, who has the patience of a saint usually, almost lost it when working with Andy. It's okay to occasionally misread a ticket, it happens. However, it doesn't happen with every single ticket that comes up. Andy put a plastic tray that holds our metal plate of bacon cheese fries in the oven with the bacon cheese fries. When I asked him why the plastic tray was so hot, he said,
"Oh, I put it in the oven with the bacon cheese fries and I forgot."
We make some of our own wing sauces, hot, mild, honey Cajun. Steve had Andy make hot wing sauce. I didn't hear this whole conversation between them, so when I walked by and saw one of the sauce bottles full, I asked, "Hey, Andy, what sauce is that, hot or mild?" To which he told,
"Oh, it's mild."
Again, I hadn't heard that Steve was having him make hot wing sauce, so I listened and labeled it as mild. A few days later, Steve had me get one of the two sauces out for wings, and I noticed that the last batch of mild was lighter than the current batch of mild. So I went to Steve and asked, "Hey, Steve, is this hot or mild?" To which he tasted the darker sauce and told me it was hot. To which I told him about how Andy told me it was mild sauce initially. Steve's only response was, "That boy's a special kind of stupid." He would go out and call the name of the person on the order ticket, and my mom, who also works at this place, but wasn't working that day, said, "Oh, they're over there, Andy," pointing out the customer that the food went to. Andy stared at her blankly, so my mom repeated, "Andy, they're over there," and pointed them out again. Andy ended up finding the customer after my mom pointed them out for the second time. Our 12-inch steak and cheese subs are 2 steak pucks each on their own sub roll. Steve told Andy this. Andy still messed it up, and only made 1 steak puck on 1 sub roll after a 10-minute conversation and explanation from Steve about how the 12-inch steak and cheese was 2 steak pucks each on their own sub roll. When Steve reminded Andy of this after his mess up, he looked at Steve like he had 2 heads. We got an order for buffalo chicken wrap with no buffalo sauce. Andy put buffalo sauce on the wrap. Alexis reminded him that they asked for no buffalo sauce. Andy responded with,
"Oh yeah, that's right."
Andy went to remake the wrap and again proceeded to put buffalo sauce on it, and Alexis again reminded him that they didn't want buffalo sauce on the wrap. Andy remade the wrap again and went to put the buffalo sauce on for a 3rd time. Alexis stopped him before he could this time. Andy always had an issue with reading bone-in wings from boneless wings on tickets for wings. Not a huge deal, we work in a kitchen, so mistakes happen. Andy, however, made this mistake with almost every single wing order, and you usually had to watch him when he was putting the wings down to make sure he was putting down the right ones. Andy was a bit of a stoner, but trust me when I say, while the herb definitely didn't help, that boy was in general just dumb. Steve, who has experience with the herb, straight up told me this. Like I stated before, one of the most irritating things was that he was so goddamn nice it almost made you feel bad for getting so frustrated with his stupidity. Andy no longer works at the kitchen I work at. I'm pretty sure he got a construction job. I think I overheard this, so don't hold me to it. God help those people if it's true. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to A Cacophony of Kevins, episode 13. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do boop the like button, and if you'd like to get the videos a little bit early, you can support the channel for as little or as much as you like a month through Patreon, which is linked in the description. It's also listed on the screen right now. Let's see. Oh yes, you can also buy Hellfreezer merchandise, also linked in the description, and you can make donations during videos or streams if you wish to do so on a one-off basis. This is never required, but it is very much appreciated. Alrighty, let's see. I do have a birthday shout for Wednesday. Okay, no shoutouts today, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, as we head more into the summer, things start to heat up across the world, it seems. Would you swap with somebody else, go live in another country, and they'll come to your country for a week or whatever, if you could, to get away from the weather? Personally, I don't think I would. I'd generally rather just put up with it, because I like my home. Even if it's too hot or too cold, I'll do what I can to account for the temperature and just, stay snug at home. But I've always been a bit of a homebody. Do let me know what you think in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.